All right, today we are going to be talking all about purple chromes and specifically from Clionadh. I asked my community if they'd like to see some more videos on Clionadh before the end of the sale, and the majority of people said yes. And purples beat out pink by a fair bit, so I decided to focus on purple for this video. And the good thing is, regardless if you are shopping the sale or not, these shades are not going anywhere. So if you add anything to your wish list, there is no rush whatsoever. And regardless of if there's a sale going on or not, you can use my discount affiliate code. I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on the screen now. Let's go ahead and get into swatching and trying on a bunch of purple chromes. All right, starting off with a bang, we have the shade Myrrh. And I have heard that this is Clionadh's top selling shade, which is really cool, because this is an incredible shade. This has a pale chartreuse base and a strong ultraviolet shift. This is exactly like the drop highlighter from Diveroon. So if you have that shade, I do not think that you need Myrrh. And I really do like both of them. I just think that the one from Diveroon has a little bit more shine to it, but they're both lovely and you can't go wrong either way. I also want to mention that Clionadh came out with a glow quad inspired by Myrrh. I did pick that up and I will be doing content with it as soon as I get it. Next shade we have is Enamel, and I've talked about this shade in particular in several videos, and for good reason, because it really is one of my favorite purples from Clionadh. In fact, this is my second pan of Enamel. This is a glitter type chrome, and I would describe it as a blue purple with a slight kind of purple predominant base. It's very light and ethereal. You can see that it has a very bright lavender base and a blue shift. It has a sheerness to it, which makes it extra glowy, which is another reason why I like a shade like Myrrh, because it also is extra glowy on the skin. All right, the next shade we have is called Quest, and Quest is one of the OG electric multichromes. I like these because they have a very smooth texture and a strong shift. Quest is another bluey purple. It is described as having an indigo base and it shifts pink, peach, and chartreuse. So yes, at a harsh angle, it does have a little bit of green in its shift. It's not its predominant shift, but it is there. I actually went into the archives for a couple of these eye swatches. Glazed is a glitter type chrome, and this is another shade that is available for under that $10 price point. There are quite a few gems that you can find for under $10 or around that price point. This has a mid-toned purple base with a pinky peach shift. And because of that pinky peach shift, to me, this shade reads a little bit warmer toned than a few of the other shades that I've shown so far. Next shade we have is Tracery, which is another glitter type chrome shadow. I would describe this as a mid-toned purple, and to my eye, I don't see much of a shift with it. I would just say that this is a pretty sparkly purple shimmer. And just like with the other glitter type chrome shadows, these have a little bit more texture to them, although I want to say that a lot of the shades from Clionadh are on the approachable side when it comes to texture, especially compared to a lot of indie brands. That's just my own personal opinion, but when a shade is extra smooth, I will make note of it because I know that some people really do prefer those smoother shades. Ascension is a glitter vibrant shadow, and I have a lot of favorites in this category. I think because not only are they sparkly because they're glitter type shades, but they're also very shifty, which happens to be the case for a lot of vibrant type chromes. Ascension has a warm purple base and it shifts gold, lime, and aqua. At the time that I'm making this video, I see that this shade is sold out. However, they are pretty good about restocking the shades, so if you want to pick it up, just add it to your wish list for getting it at a later time. Line of Queens is also a glitter vibrant, and I'm glad that it comes after Ascension in the order that I'm swatching them because I see a lot of similarities between the two shades in that they both have this light purple base and a strong fiery shift. So shifty to the point that you almost can't see that purple base when you apply it. I would say that Line of Queens is different than Ascension because you don't get that green shift in it. You have a golden and a peachy shift, but I don't see much green. And it is a really cool shade, but it's so shifty, it's not going to end up looking purple on your lids. All right, next we have the shade Noble, and Noble is also a glitter vibrant type shadow. I would describe it as having a kind of mid-toned purple base, and it shifts pink, peach, lime, and aqua. And I gotta say, this is a shade that really surprised me because I feel like it looks actually very unassuming in the pan. All right, and Regal has remained in my top 10 favorite shadows from Clionadh for as long as I can remember. This is a glitter vibrant type shadow. It's got a gorgeous indigo base and a really strong golden, green, and blue shift. And this is another one where this is my second pan of the shade. I love it that much. If you enjoy this tone of purple and you like shifty purples, I highly recommend this shade. 6 years later, and this shade is still taking my breath away. I also feel like this is another one where I can spot it the second that I see it. I know someone's wearing it when I see it. Let me know if you have shades like this. I feel like my fellow eyeshadow nerds know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, and Flash Glassed is an electric multichrome. It has what I would describe as more of a warm-toned, medium depth purple base. It also has a hint of blue in its base, and it shifts kind of pinky peach. To me, the shade is pretty glowy when I see it swatched and apply it. It reads as kind of like a warm-toned version of enamel, and with slightly less texture. Royalty is a glitter vibrant, and it's quite a bit like Regal. I love it for a lot of the same reasons that I love Regal. It has this bluey purple base and a strong golden, green, and blue shift. I will say that if you were trying to decide between Royalty and Regal, I would say that Royalty has a bit more purple in its base, and Regal is that perfect in-between blue-purple in its base. Radiant is an electric multichrome, and I would describe it as having a warm-toned, kind of medium-depth purple base, and has a warm pinky peach shift as well. I would say those are the primary shifts, and it has a secondary lime shift as well. You can really see all of those shifts well in the macro eye swatch. Stencil is a glitter type chrome, and this is another one for the blue-purple lovers. It has a deep indigo base, and it shifts pink, peach, orange, and gold. Although I would say that for Stencil, some of these shifts are a little bit subtle. I would say this is primarily a blue-purple shifting shade. Flame Blown Light is a jeweled light multichrome, and I actually included Flame Blown, the original Flame Blown, in my blue chrome video. It was sort of an accident, but that shade definitely has a bit more blue in it. A lot of the jeweled tone shades are a little bit deeper and moodier. This one is no exception. This is a gray-based chrome shadow, and it shifts gold, orange, and you also get a hint of pink. The jeweled light shades are, in my opinion, easier to work with than the OG jeweled shadows, but they tend to be a little bit less deep and moody because of that gray base, and I don't find the shifts to be quite as strong. Dynasty is a glitter vibrant, and as previously mentioned, these shades have quite a bit of sparkle to them, but also a fairly strong chrome shift. Dynasty has a beautiful indigo base, and you get primarily a fiery tone shift, and at a harsh angle, you can also see some green shift. It really is hard for me to pick a category of shadows that I like the best, but I would say that I tend to have quite a few favorites in the glitter vibrance, just as a whole, because they're both sparkly and shifty. All right, and the next shade we have is King's Feast. And King's Feast falls under this category called hybrid. The hybrids are supposed to be a combination of glitter and jeweled chromes. And I gotta say that over time, this shade has rather grown on me because when I initially kind of experienced it, I'm not sure that I thought much of it, but the tone of this purple is really quite unique. And this is one of the few shades that's described as having like a pretty much brown base. and it's got a purple shift. I've had some people ask me if I knew of brown purple duochromes, and the truth of the matter is I don't really know that many because I don't think it's that common of a shift the way that blue-brown duochrome, green-brown duochrome is. If you know of any others though, definitely let us know in the comments. Okay, and the next shade we have is called Fusion. This is a dimensional multichrome, and dimensional multichromes are one of the most interesting formulas from Clionadh, definitely one of the most unique. These are very, very sparkly shades, and they are packed with multicolored sparkles. For Clionadh shadows, I would describe them as being a little bit more on the textured side, but the payoff that you get with them is pretty fantastic. My own personal two favorites are Oxidize and Catalyst, which I've talked about in a previous video. Fusion has a purple base and it shifts peach, yellow, and lime, and of course it's packed with those multicolored sparkles. Roseline is a hybrid chrome, and just as a reminder, the hybrid are supposed to be kind of a mixture of glitter type chromes and jewel type chromes. It's got a brown base, kind of similar to King's Feast, although I sort of feel like the base in King's Feast is a little bit warmer toned, and it has a purple leaning shift, also with hints of rose, orange, and yellow. And you can definitely really appreciate those shifts when I show the chrome in the mirror. All right, Turret is a pastel multichrome, and as I mentioned in my previous video, there's only a few pastel multichromes. One of the other ones I mentioned was called Shard. Turret has a gray base, and you can see that it has this sort of muted purple shift. At a harsh angle in the mirror, you can also see a kind of yellow-green shift as well. I definitely think that the texture of the pastel multichromes are quite approachable. Same with the colors, they're very day-to-day friendly. All right, Statute Garden, I feel like is a sort of a hidden gem, and the people that have tried the shade know how interesting and cool the shade is. This is an Earth Vibrant shadow, and I've talked about Earth Vibrance as being another category of shadow that is very approachable in general. You get a lot of kind of muted earthy tones, and this shade is particularly interesting. It has this kind of gray base, and it shifts very strongly to purple, orange, green, and gold. This shade is not super sparkly, but it has a lot of glow to it. And I'm glad that Royal Plum is following Statute Garden because it's another very kind of elusive Earth Vibrant shadow, and definitely one of the more unique purples from Clionadh. In comparison to Statute Garden, this shade has a little bit more depth to it. It's described as having a kind of muted purple base. Actually, Clionadh describes this as being dusty toned, and I think that's a great description. It has a very strong yellow, orange, and green shift, and honestly, you probably do get similar vibes from this shade and from Statute Garden, but this one has, to me, a little bit more of a true purple base. Next shade we have is Solder. This is also a dimensional chrome, and fun fact, Solder is actually one of the very first dimensional chromes that came out from Clionadh. It has a purple base and it shifts pink, peach, yellow, and green. And just like all of the other dimensional shades I've talked about, it has multicolored sparkles. In general, I feel like the dimensional shadows are overall kind of slept on, but they have a lot of really cool and unique shades in this line, and not just for Clionadh, but like for indie brands in general. All right, Cobblestone is an Earth Vibrant, and as I mentioned, I have a lot of favorites when it comes to the Earth Vibrance. This has a grungy kind of gray purple base, and it has primarily warm tone shifts, including pink, peach, and gold. And at a harsh angle, I can see just a hint of green as well. I'm not sure that Clionadh categorized this as one of their purples, but to me, it definitely is. In my opinion, that is definitely one of the fun things about chromes, because if you ask different people, they're going to have different interpretations of the shade. Okay, and last but not least, we have the shade Ion, and Ion is a dimensional chrome shadow. It's a very deep blue purple. but to me personally, it has more purple than it does blue in its base. And just like the other dimensionals I've talked about, it's packed with multicolored sparkles. If you enjoy deep and moody purples, I feel like this shade is one of the deepest and moodiest that Clionadh has. We've got a few less deep moody purples than we do blues in my own personal humble opinion. And Ion does have what I would consider to be a magenta shift and at a harsh angle a green shift. All right, and somehow we did it. We got through 24 purple chromes from Clionadh. I had genuinely hoped to have this video up at least a day before the end of the sale, but that's okay because as I mentioned, these shades are not going anywhere. And my video will be here for reference whenever you need it. I would love to hear what you think about purple chromes from Clionadh. I personally have got a lot of favorites here. If you made it to the end of this video, please leave me some type of purple emoji. I really do appreciate all of you encouraging me to make these videos because it is a fun exercise for me and it genuinely makes me happy that they've been helpful for you. They are definitely a labor of love, but thank you again. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.